let's transition to that right now. Daniel, let's talk a little bit about Stanford's potential record this season. Very hard to project things because we still don't know the exact schedule. We don't even know if there's going to be a season. But, because we're trying to be optimistic, we're trying to provide good vibes to this world today. Let's act like there is going to be a season. Let's act like it's going to be a 10-game conference-only Pac-12 schedule. And we have a copy of what that schedule would have been in the fall, so we can assume that's going to be the same home road split. What do you think is a reasonable over/under in that 10-game scenario for Stanford this season?
Right. Oh, and I'm going to go on the optimistic side because we're trying to do good vibes today. I really appreciate that. That's what we all need right now. California is battling fires, all this problems and the pandemic. We need good. I'm saying there's 8 winnable games on the schedule. 8 winnable games. I don't know if they're going to get there, but you know what? I'm going to say 7 and 3. I'm going to be bullish. David Shaw's got all this time to figure it out. He's going to have a game plan of the century. He's going to have a menu card. He's going to be calling plays left and right. You've never seen it before. Stanford, 7 and 3 this year. Book it right now.
Daniel, clearly the biology lab has gotten in your head. You've gone crazy. I don't know what type of chemicals you've been working around, but they're not working because that's insane. Are you telling me that the 4-8 team last season that lost the axe against Cal, that got blown out at home by UCLA, that was 5th in the Pac-12 North, only got 3 Pac-12 wins, 3 in 9 chances. You think that same team's going to come out and go 7 and 3 in a spring season when I would predict that Stanford will probably be more affected than other schools by potential opt-outs because of A, having NFL draft quality guys, and B, just being in a certain scenario. Let's just say Stanford guys are built differently. It's not all about football. I think you may see potentially more opt-outs. That's that part of the question. Regardless, I still think you're crazy to say anything close to 7 and 3. Yes, there may technically be 8 winnable games, but I would counter that by saying there's probably at least 7 to 8 losable games. And honestly, there's not a single guaranteed win on this schedule. Oregon State at home, feel pretty good about that one. Colorado at home, feel pretty good about that one. Arizona at home, feel pretty good about that one. The rest, when you're talking about home against Washington State, I like that. Those are the 4 wins that I'm like, I think Stanford can get. And so I'll set the over-under at 5 because I think that those 4 they should be able to get, and I'll give them credit for one more. But I'll tell you this right now, Daniel, I would be shocked if Stanford goes on the road and wins at UW. I would be shocked if Stanford goes on the road and beats Cal. I'm afraid the Axe may be living in Justin Wilcox's backyard for a little while. I'm sorry, but I just think they're a better team. I would be even more shocked if Stanford goes up to Oregon, pulls off another upset in Eugene. Oregon should be the best team in the Pac-12. And if it's not them, then it's USC, and Stanford has to play USC at home. USC has a potential Heisman contender at quarterback. I mean, I see all of those as nearly guaranteed losses. And Arizona State on the road, I mean, with what Herm Edwards is starting to build there, I don't see that as a very good situation either. So, I mean, I'm looking at it as optimistically, I can get to maybe 6 and 4, and that's the optimistic side. I think that they're just as close to 4 and 6 as they are to that 6 and 4.
I'm going to bring it back to something you said earlier. You said the same team that went 4 and 8 last year. This isn't the same team. We saw those injuries. We saw everything that went down last year. I don't think they were putting out their best team. I think we can put a much better team on the field whatever happens in the spring. Am I worried about opt-outs? Yes, sure. I think that'll hurt them at some bit. But they're also bringing in a class of 26 freshmen. And you know what? David Shaw saw last year. A lot of those freshmen can play. And the 2019 class was good, not great. This is another good, not great class, but they have 26 guys they can dip into, plus a lot of people with experience. And oh, wait, they have that 2017 class. Stanford always relies on its seniors, on its upper class guys. And now they're having that great 2017 class that was ranked like 14th nationally. Those are the people that they're going to be relying on. That's going to be Davis Mills, right? So now we're getting those people in the fold game in and game out. There's a lot of possibilities here. Sure, I agree with you that Oregon game is pretty much lost. Same with the USC. But the rest of them? Are you telling me we're going to lose the Cal back-to-back seasons? No, I can't let it happen. Not on my watch. They're not going to do that to me. That would break my heart just a little bit too much. That game came down to the wire. It seemed right at the first possession. Stanford drove right down the field and scored. It looked like it was gonna be a blowout going the other way. Cal won at the last second. It wasn't a blowout at all. Those teams are evenly matched, and I think Stanford's gonna put out a better team this year. And then the UCLA loss with Jack West. Come on, come on. If we have Davis Mills out on the field again, it's not going to be that same situation as we saw last year. Jack West was under 50% passing in that game. UCLA simply cannot put out the same team, the same circumstances as we saw last year. That was Pac-12 after dark. There's not going to be Pac-12 after dark energy this year. It's just too much going on in spring of 2021. Stanford 7-3, book it right now.
I mean, you made a very good point that I had not considered. In a spring season, we may eventually be playing in daylight savings time again. We may get that spring forward. There's going to be way less Pac-12 after dark. Please don't check my math on that. I forget whether it gets darker earlier or darker later, whatever. Anyway, games in March. Do I think David Shaw, with the way that, I mean, he approaches all 365 or 366 days of the year the exact same way, do I think that he might have his team better prepared mentally for that kind of environment with no fans, which Stanford already plays in front of no fans? Yes, I agree with you that I think a spring season, anything is possible. We really don't know what we're going to see from any of these teams. And, in terms of NFL draft opt-outs, I think that other programs like Oregon and USC will probably be hit harder. I just, Stanford's culture may well be broken. I think that this season, if it had happened in the fall at least, where we could make more of a normal analysis of the season, would have been a bit of a referendum on the David Shaw era. He's been the best coach in Stanford history. There's no denying that. But the question is this sustainable? Is this something he can keep up as the rest of the Pac-12 starts to move in a different direction, as college football starts to move in a different direction? Is it possible to run his type of sets and still win games at the highest level? Oregon's starting to do it, but they're doing it by recruiting at the very highest level at the offensive line positions and generating just great skill position talent and absolutely dirty defenses that are going to make you work for everything. Stanford doesn't have those things. What Stanford has is like basically every other Pac-12 and Big 12 school out there, a good quarterback and good wide receivers. And yeah, you're going to beat some people doing that, and you're also going to lose some people doing that, and you're probably going to be in a shootout every single week. Shootouts lead, the shootout prone teams go 5-5 a lot more often than they go 7-3. It's just the way the math works out when you start looking at 48, 43 games. One week, Chase Garbers doesn't run it in. The next week he does. And those kind of toss-up games it's really going to be hard to go better than 500. And I agree with you that this should be on paper a better roster if they can avoid the type of injuries that they've had. But I just can't get over the way we saw Stanford finish last season, the way we saw Stanford lay some just terrible eggs last season, and not think that when you have no gimme games, you don't have a William & Mary on the schedule this season, you don't have a BYU on the schedule this season. What are you going to do? There's not going to be a single week to maybe take a break. Obviously, I hope they build in buys, but in a spring season, may just be 10 games straight through. I just have a lot of trouble believing that Stanford is going to improve to the fact that they can get anywhere close to your 7-3 mark. But this is one where I hope you're right. I really, really hope you're right, because I want to see Stanford get back to its winning ways. It's my senior year. Please, can we get a April Rose Bowl appearance?
That sounds phenomenal to me. I would love that. I think there's a possibility. I think there's a chance. We're going to bank on that chance right now. And you know what? Things are going to be crazy. And I do trust David Shaw in that aspect. I really do think he's going to prepare them for a season with all of its quirks. I think that is where his expertise can really lie, because he is the best coach in Stanford history. And I think we'll see a little bit of that play out, because I think Stanford's style still can work. I don't know exactly what their style is right now. I don't know if it is that intellectual brutality anymore. But I think whatever we see in the spring, that's going to be kind of what they move towards, because they have had all this time to review tape, to go over things. And I think what we see then is going to be what we see in the future.
I hope so. And I like what I've seen, just social media and public comments by both Coach Shaw and the rest of the team. They seem to be locked in for a spring season. That's a great sign. I think they want to play football whenever they're allowed to play. They very much respect the Pac-12 decision, agree with that decision. That kind of focus can go a long way. But let's talk about some other